John was mentioning Yun Men last night and the moving stones in his garden. Its rocks kind of come to our aid a lot. I'm a big fan myself. And there's a kind of funny koan from Yun Men that he stumbles upon a student and he says, "What are you doing?" And the student says, "Oh, I was talking to a rock." And Yun Men says, "Well, did the rock answer?" And the student immediately gets incredibly self-conscious and just closes up, "I'm not sure if we're supposed to talk to rocks, and maybe you think I'm weird now." And Yun Men just said, "The rock was nodding before you even spoke." It's like that. I was at a gathering recently, smaller than this one, and it was a bunch of new people, and everyone was sitting around in a circle, and the self-consciousness was just like, you could just feel everyone like, I don't know who I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to say about myself, and people were just grabbing for things, I'm from here, and I'm from, I can help you with yoga. And the woman hosting the gathering, I know a little bit, and she had just returned from Morocco to go crystal hunting, which is a whole thing. And apparently, to hunt crystals, you have to have like a good heart. This is what the old Moroccan who've been doing it for generations and generations, the crystals can tell if you're greedy or you have ulterior motives, and they won't reveal themselves to you. The rock was nodding before you even spoke, but I said to my friend, because she was saying she brought some back, and I said, "Would you bring them out for us? Like, please save us from what's going on right now." And she said, "Okay," and so she brought out this whole container, and they were all carefully wrapped, and she started opening them one by one and passing them around, and everything just went dead silent. And people are just enchanted by these. I mean, these are creatures, these are people, these are not, these were beings. And the interesting thing, which I did not know about crystals, is any rock can turn into a crystal with the right conditions, which seemed promising for us in enlightenment. And she had many of them, and it was like, what was so interesting was that not only did the self-consciousness, it just evaporated, it was gone, but this incredible intimacy opened up, because everyone was they passed them very carefully, and they sort of were in awe together, and everyone's just, "Oh, did you see this one? And did you see this? And doesn't that make you, Suddenly everyone, and I think it's kind of like that. If we're not so worried about all this, we can actually connect so much easier. And also what was interesting was that the essence of each person, that standing in your own place, naturally just came forward. People revealed who they were without having to think about it, without having to have a story about it, without anything. You could just feel them. Yun Men himself, and he had been studying for a long time with this guy named Mu Jo, who was kind of a cranky shoemaker, who somehow ended up taking students, but I don't think really loved having them. And Yun Men would go knock on his door at night, and finally he said, what do you want? And he said, "I'm still not clear about myself." Somehow the answer is in here. And Mu Jo just slammed the door on him and said, "Utterly useless stuff. Utterly useless stuff. Not gonna figure it out in here." And somehow that way of just being with the world, whether it's rocks or anything else, kind of stayed with Yun Men. Because one of his other, famous koans is on his deathbed. Someone said, what's the entirety of the Buddha's teachings? What's the whole thing? And he just said, say something in response. It's you, it's right here, it's right now. There's nothing else. And it's funny how our moves will appear and then we doubt them. Like yesterday early morning we were doing walking meditation, the first session, and somehow I looked up and I realized, oh, we're about to head into the wrong line and there's going to be Meredith was in front of me and I just grabbed her shoulders and pivoted her around to the right part of the line. And it was such a natural, sort of loving even response. And it was kind of fun, like just to kind of have that contact and like, oh, that was kind of fun. And then a couple minutes later I thought, God, I hope that was okay. I hope I didn't offend her. I hope, and I know Meredith and we're good friends, but I just thought, I don't know. And then I didn't get to talk to her and I thought, oh well. And then she came in the afternoon and said, wasn't that fun? And like, I was wandering off and you just grabbed me and, come back, Meredith. And how quickly it creeps in, like even with that guy yesterday. I thought later, well, maybe someone else could have gotten him to, turn it down, or maybe I could have thought of something better. It's like, it's incessant. But when we're in things, the right move just arises, just happens. Things talk to us.